Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're really getting into something fascinating. The science of habits.
Habits, yeah.
You know, those routines that we all have, good and bad.
Right.
Well, you guys sent in some excerpts from The Power of Habit, and
Hmm.
get ready to have your minds blown,
Yeah.
because it turns out it's not just about willpower, it's about cravings that start in the brain.
Absolutely. It all comes down to those neurological cravings
Yeah?
and how they really drive the formation of our habits, both the good and the not so good ones.
That's right. I'm so excited to dig into this. To kick things off, let's go back in time a bit, like way back to the early 1900s. You know Claude C. Hopkins,
Oh, yeah.
the ad man behind the Pepsodent
Huh.
campaign? I mean, that story, it like completely changed the way I think about marketing habits, even like basic stuff, like brushing our teeth.
It's a classic example, really.
Yeah.
Understanding the human brain
Hmm.
can lead to some pretty remarkable success. And what's really interesting is that back then, dental hygiene wasn't exactly top of mind for most people.
Like, at all.
No. Hopkins himself, he was hesitant to even take on that Pepsodent campaign. I mean, he was like, toothpaste, is that really a thing?
Right. He thought it was a lost cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His first strategy was actually pretty standard for the time, like identify a cue, right?
Hmm.
Something like the film that builds up on your teeth, and then, of course, the reward, the promise of those beautiful pearly white teeth. But it hadn't really worked for other brands.
It hadn't. But then he found something, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he kind of stumbled on a game changer. It wasn't some fancy marketing strategy. It was actually something in the toothpaste itself,
Hmm.
the tingling sensation. You know that tingle,
Oh, yeah.
Pepsodent? It had citric acid and mint oil,
Okay.
and those create that tingly feeling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't intentional at first, but Hopkins, he was a smart guy.
Yeah.
He realized people, they were connecting that tingling to, like, feeling clean, and that feeling, it turned into a craving.
So it's like even if the tingling didn't, actually make the toothpaste clean any better, people started to crave it
Yeah,
and then they brushed more.
exactly.
And now, look, we all think about brushing our teeth in a totally different way.
We do.
It's like our brains can be wired to want, I don't know, to want anything if it feels good?
It's true. Think about it, like mouthwash or the foaming stuff in
Yeah.
shampoo.
Yeah.
We expect that now,
Yeah.
and we actually crave it, even though it doesn't necessarily mean the product is better.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, is this just clever marketing or is there like actual science behind this?
Oh, there's definitely some science behind it. The work of Wolfram Schultz, he's a neuroscientist, he gives us a lot of insight into how cravings actually develop, at a neurological level.
Okay.
He did this groundbreaking research with monkeys. There's one monkey in particular, Julio, became pretty famous,
Mhm.
in neuroscience.
Julio. Yeah, I've heard about him. He was trained to do stuff to get a reward, right?
Right. Schultz, he had Julio learn to associate shapes on a screen with a reward. And the reward was like a sip of this delicious blackberry juice.
Oh, wow.
And as Julio got better at this, doing the task, Schultz saw something amazing. Julio's brain, it actually started to anticipate the reward,
Whoa.
like before he even got it. And that anticipation at that neurological level, that's a craving forming. Those shapes on the screen, they weren't just about the task anymore.
Right.
They were triggering a pleasurable response in Julio's brain.
So before he even tasted the juice, his brain was already going, rewards coming, rewards coming.
Exactly.
That's wild. But what happened when he didn't get his reward?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. When Schultz delayed the reward or even withheld it altogether,
Mhm.
Julio, he showed these really clear signs of frustration,
Ah.
and craving.
Oh, wow.
And it really underscores how powerful those neurological responses are. And, we see the same thing in human behavior all the time.
Oh, for sure. Think about how we crave certain foods or even just checking our email.
Yeah.
It's like that anticipation, and then if you don't get it, that disappointment, it's like wired into us.
Exactly. It's not just about consciously wanting something. It's about our brains seeking out and anticipating those rewards. And this brings us to another really fascinating case, Febreze.
Febreze. Okay. So we've seen how cravings can be kind of accidentally created, like with the Pepsodent tingle. But how does a company actually engineer a craving for their product?
Yeah.
That's what I always wonder about with Febreze. Like, how do you make people crave something that's designed to basically get rid of something they can't even smell?
Well, that was exactly the challenge P&G faced,
Yeah.
the company behind Febreze. They started out marketing it as something that eliminates odors.
Right?
So the
Yeah.
cue would be a bad smell, and the reward would be, a fresh, odorless room.
Hmm.
Seems logical.
Yeah, totally. But I'm guessing it didn't really work out that way.
Well, not exactly.
So what happened?
Their research actually showed something surprising. People, they kind of gotten used to the smells in their own homes.
Hmm.
So they weren't really noticing the bad odors anymore, like not consciously.
Oh, interesting.
So that cue, the bad smell, it wasn't strong enough,
Hmm.
to really get that habit loop going. P&G had to rethink everything.
Yeah.
They needed to find a way to make people want to use Febreze,
Hmm.
not just, need it.
So if people weren't actively bothered by the smells, how did they figure that out? Like, how did they uncover what would make people crave Febreze?
Well, they started watching people,
Okay.
observing how they actually use Febreze in their homes. And that's when they had this aha moment.
What was it?
People were using it as a final touch, like after they'd already cleaned.
Oh.
Not to get rid of bad smells. They were spraying it on already cleaned surfaces as a reward for cleaning.
It's like that feeling you get putting the finishing touches on a project. So they craved that fresh scent as a way to signal, okay, cleaning's done, not because there was a bad smell. That is so smart.
It is. It totally reframed Febreze. It wasn't a necessity anymore. It was a reward. And they changed their whole marketing strategy.
Oh, wow.
Instead of eliminate odors,
Mm.
it became about cleaning life smells,
Mm-hmm.
positioning Febreze as a way to reward yourself.
And it worked.
Oh, yeah. Sales went way up.
That's amazing. It really shows, it's not just understanding what people need, it's understanding what they crave. I'm starting to see these habit loops everywhere now, even in my own life, especially with bad habits I'm trying to break.
We all have those
Yeah.
ingrained habits that are hard to change. But understanding the science behind them, it can be really helpful.
Yeah.
When you recognize the cue, the routine, the reward that's driving that loop, you can start to take it apart, figure out how to change it.
So instead of feeling powerless against those cravings, we can actually kind of take control, rewire our brains to crave things that are good for us. It's kind of like a secret code.
It is a little bit.
Right.
And anyone can use it, right? It's not about willpower or, any special talent. It's about understanding the science and then applying it consistently.
That is so encouraging to hear. So if we can engineer cravings for toothpaste and air freshener, we can do it for healthier habits, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. Let's say you want to exercise more. You pick a time, like right when you wake up or before dinner. That's your cue. Then the routine, that's your workout. And the reward, that could be something you really crave, like a smoothie, or that feeling of accomplishment after a good workout.
Right. This makes me think of all those things we know we should do, like drink more water, wear sunscreen, eat our vegetables. But without a strong craving, it's hard.
Exactly. How do we turn those shoulds into wants? Like with sunscreen. Some companies now, they're putting in those tingling sensations or scents. So people associate that sensory cue with protection. And then it feels rewarding to put it on.
That's fascinating. Just like that foaming stuff in shampoo or toothpaste. It doesn't actually make them work better, but we expect it now. So if we link a good feeling to a healthy behavior, we can maybe create a craving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. Even just making your bed every morning. You might not always feel like it,
No.
but think about how good it feels when you walk into your bedroom at the end of the day and the bed is made. That sense of order, of calm.
I get that. And that feeling that can become a reward, something to crave, like a little reminder that you started your day off right. It's amazing how a small thing can change how you feel.
It is. It's about focusing on that good feeling, that sense of accomplishment, and letting that drive the habit.
This deep dive has been, wow, really eye-opening. We've talked Pepsodent, Febreze, Julio the monkey, even making the bed. But what about Claude Hopkins himself? He was a marketing genius, but did he really get this whole cravings thing?
It's interesting. He used cravings so well, in his campaigns, but he never actually wrote about them. Maybe he didn't fully grasp the neuroscience, but he intuitively tapped into, associating a product with pleasure.
So even without the science, he was kind of like a craving pioneer. It makes you wonder what he could have done with what we know today about the brain. But even without that, he changed how we think about marketing and, in a way, how we live our lives.
He did. And there's one more thing about the Pepsodent story that I think really highlights how clever he was. Remember those tingly ingredients? The citric acid and mint oil?
Yeah.
They weren't just for making it taste fresh.
Wait, there's more to the Pepsodent story.
Those ingredients, they actually caused a little irritation in your mouth. And people, they started linking that feeling to cleanliness. So Hopkins, he was accidentally selling a craving for that irritating feeling.
So not just craving cleanliness, but craving the irritation they'd link to it. That is wild.
It is. People started expecting that tingle, and if it wasn't there, their mouths didn't feel clean. They were craving that irritation.
And that's how Pepsodent became such a hit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He found a formula that created a physical and a psychological craving. Amazing how a little sensation can be so powerful.
This totally changes how I see marketing and, honestly, how I see the world. It's incredible.
It shows that even tiny details matter when it comes to habits, and it highlights how powerful cravings are in shaping what we do.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I'm already thinking about my own habits and how I can use this to make some positive changes.
That's the great thing about understanding habits, It gives us the power to take control and shape our lives in ways we never thought possible.
And maybe one day we'll all be craving green smoothies and sunscreen. But even if we don't get there, the fact that we can design our cravings to work for us, that's huge.
It is. It's a journey. It
That's
takes
right.
learning and adapting, but the potential is there. It's really remarkable.
This has been amazing. Big thanks to our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the craving brain.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you've learned some valuable stuff today.
And remember, it's an ongoing journey, this habit thing. Keep experimenting, keep learning, and never stop trying to be the best version of yourself.
Until next time, keep diving deep. This deep dive has really made me think, it's crazy how something so small like a tingle
Right.
can actually change how we act. It makes you realize we're all kind of ruled by these cravings, even if we don't know it.
Oh, yeah. The more we get how these cravings work, the better we can use them, for good.
Right. I'm seeing habit loops everywhere now. From brushing my teeth to scrolling on my phone. It's like they're just running in the background, controlling us without us even knowing.
Like a secret code almost,
Yeah.
driving everything we do.
Yeah.
But once we crack the code, we can change it.
Exactly. So for our listeners out there, ready to take control of their habits, what's one thing they can do today?
Start with pick a habit you want to change.
Yeah.
Or even create. And then break it down. The cue, the routine, the reward. And once you really get those pieces, you can start playing around with different ways to tweak it.
So like someone who snacks late at night, they could try changing their surroundings to get rid of the cue, like putting away all the tempting snacks before the craving hits.
Yeah, that's a great one. Or if you're trying to start something new, like a morning walk,
Yeah.
you can make the reward more immediate, more real,
Yeah.
like listening to a podcast you love or having a good breakfast after.
It's all about finding that thing that makes the habit stick.
Yeah.
And that's going to be different for everyone.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to try things out. It might take a few tries to find the right mix, of cue, reward, and that craving. But once you do, it can really change things.
This whole conversation has been just so inspiring. It gives me real hope,
Yeah.
that we can all kind of design our own habits and create lives that are healthier and happier and more fulfilling.
That's the power of understanding how habits work,
Yeah.
It lets us take control and shape our own futures.
So well said. A huge thanks to everyone for listening to us, ramble on about the craving brain.
Yes, thank you for listening.
We hope you got some good takeaways to use in your own life.
And remember, this habit journey, it never really ends. Keep trying new things, keep learning, and never stop trying to be the best you can be.
Until next time, keep diving deep.